Welcome to the writings of Patrick S. Smith. Hello, everyone. I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. I know I was miserable afterwards. Do like I always do, eat too much, but hopefully get a little turkey soup out of this one. Start with no Kathy. Between her falling and hurting her shoulder and having a cold, head stuffed up, I didn't even bother with her this time around. Just trying to be a good husband, let her rest, not try to overdo. So, hopefully, we can get her to do some. But with the holidays coming up, I don't see it happening, and I'm not holding it against her. Been a whack couple weeks. Just before Thanksgiving, I think it was before the last video I did, I had jury duty, which was a waste of 5 days because I go report in and sit around twiddle my thumbs. So if you've ever done it, you know if you don't get tapped, you don't. It's just a long, drawn out day. So at least it could have been worse, or it could have actually been better. It could have been federal, and because I know at least the one time I had federal, it was go in, get called one time, didn't get picked, and got released the next day or two, all taken care of. So, in an attempt to try to clear my head and get set up to do writing, I think I mentioned in the last video that I was storyboarding some stories, working on those, get those flowing, because I had lost the narrative on Brides of War. Well, now I've gone back, got a good storyboard, or at least what appears to be a good storyboard for Brides of War. I can sit down and start writing on that again in earnest, and actually, hopefully, get a draft completed. I also went in and storyboarded Apples, which is another Sears story in the world of Olith. There's some elements I don't like. I need to go in and scratch my head and think about. So there's that, and I did look and play with a little bit of the storyboard on Amber, just picking up with the last chapter I actually drafted, and now need to tweak the storyboard for the next chapter. And I think that's how I'm going to do, is write a chapter, tweak the storyboard, and just go on from there and see what comes of that. While I was also doing all the storyboarding in the world of Olith, I went back to another series I started years ago, but really haven't paid much attention to. And I did write a story in it. It's the Alexandrians, and the story was Helen and the Angel. And I'll drop a link to that so you can go in and read it. That was to be Helen and the Angel was going to be the start of a 3 or 4 part story. That was the initial part. But I know what I want for parts 2 and 3. I just never sat down and did anything with them, and it's been a few years, so it's like time to show them a little love. And well, first off, the Alexandrian series, you could think of it's something like a cross between the X-Files and Charlie's Angels. The Alexandrians are this mysterious group who are only known by letters of the Greek alphabet. They're never seen, their voices are disguised, but they are funding paranormal research, but they want the pure scientific side. So basically you get Scully from the X-Files meets, she's now doing a Charlie's Angel type thing. So like I say, I did, Helen and the Angel was the intro story. It was the setup for it. Basically, an old report from World War II with a strange occurrence comes up, and it piques the interest of one of the Alexandrians, so they are, but it's not enough information for them to actually launch a real investigation on. So that was the start. Parts 2 and 3, they go, the actual research teams, or what the research team that the stories revolve around, go in and start doing the legwork to get what facts they can. So, because you're talking, 80 years has lapsed between the event and its discovery, and, well, what empirical evidence is still out there? What can they get? So, I'm hoping, once I get those next 2 stories written, it will grab people's attention and they'll start to like it. Because the next 2 stories are Hunting the Angel and Finding Helen. And I may and those are the working titles. I may flip them. I don't know yet. They may get changed up something completely different. But well, in the middle of that, I went ahead and started I had the idea for the research team's next case. And that story's working title is It Speaks to Him, which I'm hoping this will be one of these that, you're a touch of Twilight Zone with true science behind with it, and just one of these whoa type things. Not, but in terms of a scientific, it's the big whoa, not in the mysterious. So there is that. Of course, with the holidays, my youngest is out of school, and I took a day to go get her from college and bring her home. And now the house is back to being a 3-ring circus. So there is a lot of going on there. But in all the time, in the last couple weeks, I've started exploring a couple things. I think, and I'll make the decision by the first of the year, and know if I'm going to do all this. But right now, I am going ahead and starting to post these videos on, in addition to YouTube and Rumble and TikTok. I'm experimenting with Odyssey to see how that goes, in part because though I've caught and seen some things with YouTube I'm not thrilled with. Basically, it's the big problem there is if you're not, they're not going to promote you if you're unknown. So it's going to be hard to organically grow your audience, and because you're pushed down to the bottom of the algorithm. You have to know exactly who you're looking for, something specific, so the algorithm will kind of push you up towards the top, and just going to be a lot more work than I can want to put into. Odyssey's not as big right now, but I think it's going to start to grow. So going ahead and jumping into Odyssey and kind of on the ground floor and try to get some traction there. The other thing is I'm thinking about also starting the newsletter on Substack. I may decide to go Patreon. I gotta look at both, weigh pros and cons. I don't want to spread myself too thin where that's all I'm doing is these updates and I can't be creative. So those two, one of those two, and I don't know which. And also another item I'm going to consider and look into a little bit more is Ko-fi, or coffee, however you want to pronounce it. Just try to grow the exposure. Something else I am going to try to do between now and the end of the year is do some reading of other authors, indie authors, hopefully just shorts, because for me to sit down and read a novel, unless it's something that really grabs me, I tend to read a few chapters and then set it aside, and then when I pick it up again, I forgot what I've read. So it just, short stories work better for me, and do some reviews, and they may be betas, which, and I do want to mention, when about a beta story, a beta reading, you're not reading the final product. It's the author's usually got the bones down, but it's the finer details that are trying to iron out, smooth things out, get right. And I know I did a video where I mentioned a couple a while back, and they were good. They had good bones to them, but they needed work. They weren't ready to, at least in my opinion, weren't ready to be published. So yeah, I tend to be a little more critical on beta stories. So you're not going to see many 4 or 5s out of those, just because they do need the work. But if the bones are good, if it's a good story, it just needs that refinement, then yeah, it's going to be, I'll give it a 3 easy. It's like those two were good. I mean, they needed a lot of work, but yeah, they could easily have been 4s. One of them could have been a 5, actually, if it was cleaned up, rewritten better, and I'm hoping the author does that. So if I say it's, oh yeah, Joe Blow and the Hammer, it's a 3 and it's a beta, yeah, take that with a grain of salt. It could be when the final version comes out and they get it published, you may read it and think, oh gosh, how did he call this a 3? This is a 5. This is the greatest thing ever. Reading it at 2 different stages. It's just refinement makes it better. So that is pretty much it for right now. I hope everybody stays safe. You've finally worked off the gluttony of the turkey from Thanksgiving, and y'all take care. See you later. Bye. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe. You can find more of my books on Amazon.com. Also, you can find more of my stories and poems at patricksmithauthor.wordpress.com. The links are in the description. Thank you.